Novak Djokovic on Eala fan fever. Huge crowds a good problem. Manila, Philippines. The line of spectators for Eala's breakthrough main draw appearance in the Australian Open was so bizarrely long that even tennis great Novak Djokovic took notice. And for the winningest men's player of all time, that is a good problem to have, as he reflected on the ever-growing interest in the sport, especially for fans from countries like the Philippines who are only starting to follow tennis because they have someone to cheer for in Eala. I saw the other day with Eala. That's been the talk, which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from the Philippines, which is now a big deal, you know, said world number 4 Djokovic after advancing to the third round with a straight sets win over Francesco Maestrelli on Thursday, January 22nd. She's been the biggest ever tennis player from that country, and there's big interest. Things like that happen. While Eala commands a sizable following wherever she plays, like her run in the US Open, where she made history as the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam main draw match in the Open era, her Australian Open campaign this year demonstrated her stardom. Organizers' decision to put Eala's first-round singles match against Alicia Parks at Court 6 proved miscalculated, as fans formed a long queue in their bid to catch the Filipina in action, with many resorting to watching on the big screens outside the venue. Eala ended up suffering an early exit as Parks claimed a 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 win. For Djokovic, having a full house is undoubtedly better than playing with hardly any fans in the stands. You could argue that it was maybe a poor schedule, and maybe they could schedule her on a bigger court. Yes, but again, she's so young and she's just coming through. Obviously, the first couple rounds of the schedule is so packed, the big courts, with big names, it's difficult, said Djokovic. It's not easy to manage that. But again, it's a good problem to have. Just imagine if there's lack of people coming or the stands are empty. That's a bigger problem. Djokovic's response came after a reporter asked about complaints on matches getting overcrowded. A winner of a record 24 Grand Slam titles, Djokovic simply thinks that the goal is to get tennis more eyeballs. Every tournament wants record-breaking attendance and ticket sales, and that's what I've been hearing this year and the last couple of years for most of the slams and tournaments, he said. It's a good sign. Obviously, we want more attention, more people coming and wanting to watch tennis live and follow it on livestream, etc. The sound comes before the sight. Before Eala even steps onto the court, the noise rolls in like a tide, chants swelling, phones raised, flags waving, and an electricity that feels less like a tennis match and more like a homecoming. It is the kind of atmosphere that rattles rackets and quickens heartbeats, the kind that can lift a player higher, or swallow them whole. Watching from the edge of this storm, Novak Djokovic smiles. It's a good problem, he says later, with the calm of someone who has spent 2 decades standing at the very center of sporting chaos. When people care that much, when they show up like that, it means something special is happening. For Djokovic, crowds have always been both ally and adversary. He has played through boos, roars, silence, and deafening love. He knows better than most that fan fever is not just noise. It is pressure, expectation, and belief compressed into sound. And as Eala's name echoes louder with every tournament, Djokovic recognizes the familiar rhythm of a star being born. The weight of belief. Eala is no longer just a promising junior or a talented left-hander from the Philippines. She is a symbol. For many fans, she represents possibility, proof that tennis greatness can rise from places long overlooked by the sport's traditional power centers. Djokovic understands that weight intimately. When a whole country starts believing in you, he reflects, you're not just playing for yourself anymore. You're carrying dreams. That's beautiful, but it's also heavy. The stands packed with supporters are not just cheering winners, they are cheering futures. Every forehand carries hope. Every mistake draws a collective gasp. The player in the middle must learn how to breathe under that kind of attention. Djokovic learned early that the crowd can never be controlled, only absorbed. You don't fight it, he says. You learn how to use it, or you let it use you. A mirror of the past. There is something quietly reflective in the way Djokovic speaks about Eala. It is not mentorship offered loudly, but recognition given respectfully. He sees in her journey echoes of his own, emerging from a country not traditionally associated with tennis dominance, breaking expectations one match at a time. When I was younger, Djokovic recalls, every big crowd felt overwhelming. You think you have to be perfect for them. But tennis doesn't work like that. Perfection, he learned, is not what fans truly demand. What they respond to is courage, the willingness to swing freely, to compete honestly, to stay present when the noise grows unbearable. Alex Eala's fan fever, then, is not a distraction. It is a signal. It says the sport is expanding, that new stories are being written in new accents, under new flags. That's good for tennis, Djokovic says simply. Very good. The test beyond talent. Talent gets attention. Crowds test character. Djokovic believes the real challenge for a rising star is not the full stadium, but the quiet moment before the serve, when the chants fade into a distant hum and doubt tries to sneak in. Crowds amplify everything, he explains. Confidence feels bigger. Fear feels bigger too. For Eala, the roar of supporters can feel like wings or chains depending on the day. Djokovic does not offer advice and slogans. Instead, he speaks of patience, of allowing growth to happen naturally, without rushing toward the expectations of others. She doesn't need to become something overnight, he says. She just needs to keep becoming herself. In that sense, huge crowds are not a burden, they are a mirror, reflecting how much belief already exists. A good problem to have. Many athletes would trade anything for this kind of problem, to worry about managing love rather than chasing recognition. Djokovic knows this better than anyone. There are players who work their whole careers just to feel that once, he says, to have people show up for you. Calling it a good problem is not dismissal, it is perspective. It reframes pressure as privilege. It reminds us that behind every deafening cheer is a fan who chose to care. For Djokovic, the rise of Alex Eala is part of a larger story. Tennis opening its arms wider, allowing new heroes to emerge, new fan bases to fall in love. The sport survives because of moments like this, he says. Because people see themselves in players. Beyond the noise. As the match begins and Eala walks onto the court, the crowd erupts once more. Djokovic watches quietly, a veteran observer of tennis history unfolding in real time. He knows the road ahead will not be smooth. There will be losses, doubts, and days when the cheers feel distant. But he also knows that,